congratulations to Canada on their elections last night and electing Mark Carney as your new Prime Minister, and the Liberals will keep the majority in Parliament. Pierre Poilievre lost his seat and will no longer be in the House of Commons. And I'd also like to thank Canada for the opportunity that they just gave us for our new 51st and 52nd state of Alberta and Saskatchewan. Now, I'm not saying this just to say it. An article out from the National Post in Canada, and I've known about the Alberta separatist movement now for quite a long time. This is following the elections last night. Hockey and nostalgia won't keep us together. Albertans say they're serious about separation after Liberals win. The Liberals' fourth straight federal election win keeps Alberta and Ottawa on a collision course. Now, I can't go into the article. It's a pay site. But one of the things that I know for a fact is that the subsidies going from the western part of Canada, Alberta, Saskatchewan, British Columbia, to sustain other provinces such as Quebec, basically paying Quebec to stay in Canada. And I know that those provinces are sick and tired of it. Sick and tired of it. So you see an article like this coming out of the National Post, again, following the results of the election. You know that this is getting very serious. And this is the results of the election. Canadian election results by province. Each square in the seat of House of Commons, 99% of polls reported. As you can see, the red is Liberal and the blue is Conservative. That's the way it was here in the United States until NBC, back in the late 90s, actually switched the colors of the party because they didn't want the Democrats associated with red for some reason. Who can imagine? I mean, communism, red, get it? These are the results. As you can see, the East, red in New Brunswick, red in Nova Scotia, red in Newfoundland and Labrador. Quebec is red, and that light blue is the Quebec Party. Bloc Québécois. I'm sure that was totally mispronounced. I don't speak French. In Ontario. But then you go to Alberta and Saskatchewan. All Conservative. One or two members. Not enough to even put ripples in the pond. I'd say it's time now for the President of the United States to make a we'll call it a state visit to Alberta and Saskatchewan. And encourage them to fight for their independence. There's no reason that they need to pay the bill for other provinces who, one, don't want to be part of Canada, Quebec, and two, can't pay their own way, as the oil sands of Alberta and Saskatchewan feed the coffers of the Canadian Treasury. I also would be tired of it. As a taxpayer in Minnesota, I'm tired of it. So I can relate very much to what the citizens of Alberta and Saskatchewan are feeling today. They're feeling very much that we're on our own. The national government, they're not going to be there to help us. They never were, and they never will be. The only way we can better our people is to go out on our own. Alberta and Saskatchewan, I would absolutely expect to see the separatist movements, the secession movement of those two provinces, pick up speed immensely, starting today. I think it's incumbent upon the President of the United States to make state visits to Alberta and Saskatchewan. You just put up a Twitter post congratulating Carney. But you go personally, physically visit those two provinces. Encourage them Will they become the 51st and 52nd state? Honestly, at this point, I kind of think it's inevitable that they will. I think that last night was actually Canada's last chance to save itself. That seems very pessimistic, I understand, but what Carney is going to bring into office for these Western provinces is more of the same except worse. And to live with that for another 5 years, I would find unacceptable, especially if there's a movement afoot to pull us out. And you have a nation to the south of you who is ready to open up trade negotiations with Alberta and Saskatchewan separately than with Canada. I think last night was Canada's last opportunity to save itself as a united nation. I really genuinely do. Not because I want that to be the case. I like having Canada north of us. Canada is a wonderful nation with great people. They've made some bad decisions. They're taxing themselves into oblivion. They have decided to become dealers in death. One of the leading causes of death in Canada is physician-assisted deletion. This was made legal by the state. The state meaning the government. Rocket ship to hell, guys. Rocket ship to hell. I certainly hope that Canada finds its own path in a way that is frankly peaceful, because this could turn ugly. I don't think you're going to see like a Canadian Civil War, but you could see large protests that do get kind of hairy, similar to the trucker thing, except maybe a little worse. And you'll see it only in a couple of provinces. You're going to have other provinces who absolutely oppose the Western provinces' views, such as Quebec. Do you think Quebec is going to want to have Alberta leave? Alberta's paying the freight, guys. Alberta and Saskatchewan are paying the freight for the rest of Canada. I think this is their last chance. I really think this was their last chance. And I want to point out one more thing that we here in the United States have recognized as something that probably isn't a good thing. More than 7 million Canadians cast their ballots in advance, setting a new record for early voter turnout. The manipulation of these early ballots and these early votes has been clearly identified in the United States. I don't know if that's the case in Canada, but I have a feeling it does. And finally, I just want to say this to the Canadian people. You did this to spite Orange Man. This is one of the most petulant, childish voter responses I've ever seen. You elected Carney because Orange Man bad. Trump derangement syndrome is a global phenomena. And Canada, specifically you in the eastern provinces, have full Trump derangement syndrome. You voted against all of your best interests to spite President Trump. This is one of the most foolish and stupid electoral responses I've ever seen from any group of any state or any nation. Because of your dislike and your spite of our president, you've put the ball in motion. The wheels are now turning for the inevitable destruction of Canada. We look forward to our free trade agreement with Alberta and Saskatchewan. It's my hope that they petition the United States to become territories and inevitably states. Spite is not a good reason for a vote. That's all I got. If you like it, hit like, share. Let a friend know. Canada, they voted. And essentially they voted to pull themselves apart. Out of spite, they've shot themselves in the foot. Thank you.